Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Inga Houston, President and CEO of the Dublin Chamber of Commerce, your host this evening, along with the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club. The Dublin Chamber is dedicated to the promotion of the Dublin business community as one of California's best and fastest growing cities in which to do business. We advocate for Dublin business community. The Dublin San Ramon Women's Club is one of the oldest and largest international women's volunteer organizations. Members participate in many projects and programs which benefit our Tri-Valley community. Tonight, the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club and the Dublin Chamber of Commerce are pleased to present the Candidates Forum for the 2 seats open for the Dublin City Council. In partnership with Gina, Channell, and Jeremy Walsh with the Pleasanton Weekly, they will moderate this evening's Candidate Forum. We encourage Dublin residents to subscribe to the Pleasanton Weekly. We would like to see the media source expand to host a Dublin Express sometime in the future. We need 5,000 subscribers to get our very own hometown media source. Go to pleasantonweekly.com for more information. It is the best value around for local information. Now, without further delay, I will turn the program over to Gina, Channell, and Jeremy Walsh with the Pleasanton Weekly, our moderators this evening. Gina.
Thank you so much, Inga. And welcome to the Dublin City Council Candidates Forum. As Inga said, we have 9 candidates vying for 2 seats. I'm Gina, Channell, President and Publisher of the Weekly. My co-moderator tonight is Jeremy Walsh, the Pleasanton Weekly editor. And I want to reiterate our thanks for partners, the Dublin Chamber of Commerce and the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club. We appreciate the Chamber's help producing and recording this event. A special shout out to Sue Stevenson from the Dublin San Ramon Services District, who was our timekeeper. Thank you to the community members who submitted questions prior to the event, because we will not be able to monitor chat. All of our questions are variations of questions sent because we consolidated ones on similar topics. The candidates were not given the questions prior to the event. We will start with 2-minute opening statements from each candidate. Each candidate will then have 90 seconds to respond to questions. A countdown timer will be visible to everyone, and candidates going over the time limit will be alerted and stopped. At the end, each candidate will have 3 minutes for closing statements. Because of limited time, we have asked candidates to save rebuttals for closing remarks. And speaking of time, we would like to change the ending time of this forum to 9:15 from 9 o'clock, so we can ask one more question of the candidates. We're going to start with opening statements, going in alphabetical order. Candidate Shawn Costello will give his opening statement first, and then we will alternate who speaks during the questioning portion of the program. So, Shawn?
Thank you very much. I love to be here. Thank you very much. If you all can hear me, I'm Shawn Costello. This is my 16th try at trying to be city council or mayor. When I run for mayor or city council, I am trying to make this city the best that it can be. I'm also trying to show that other disabled people in the world can also run for office. This is very important to me and other disabled people. Also, I am trying to slow down the growth in Dublin because we are growing too fast. And with all the fires going on and everything, we will run out of water when all these new apartments and things happen. And I thank you very much. And I yield my time to the next person.
Thank you, Candidate Costello. Candidate De Leon.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Lucrecia De Leon, and many of you may know me as Carolina. I am a mom, a business owner, and I have called the city of Dublin my home for more than 16 years. I am running for city council because I believe that public office is a place where we can make a difference in our life, in our people's life, and in our community. It is very important now more than ever for everyone to be engaged in democracy. Now more than ever, we need representation for the real issues in our city. And that is the reason why I am running. I want to represent each and every one of you with the real issues that are facing all of us. So please support me, be here with me, and join me in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hasni.
Just
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. It's Zoom, rookie mistake, right? So a big thank you to the Dublin Chamber of Commerce and the Pleasanton Weekly for hosting the candidate forum tonight, this evening. I'd also like to thank the General Federation of Women's Clubs for sponsoring this event and my fellow candidates who are sacrificing their time with us tonight. It's not easy. My name is Rozzy Hosni, and I've lived in this great city since 2013. I'm a husband to a wonderful wife, Diana, for over 16 years, and a father to a 13-year-old super rad daughter who attends Fallon Middle School. I hope she's not watching this. She heard me say super rad. So I'm also a fitness and wellness entrepreneur and a businessman who grew a business from a single location yoga studio in 2014 to a thriving regional East Bay fitness and wellness operation with locations all over the East Bay, including our beautiful Dublin. So our city has experienced an enormous amount of growth over the last few years. And we as a community now stand at a crossroads. Our city council will benefit from an infusion of new ideas and fresh perspectives to help lead Dublin into a post-COVID-19 world. We also need leadership that will creatively shepherd our community through what will undoubtedly be one of the most challenging economic recoveries that we will experience. We must be able to balance risk with reward and help energize and support our local small business into the post-COVID-19 era. Our next 4 years of City Council will make critical decisions with regards to housing, future developments, and implementation of our downtown-specific plans. We will need steady, trustworthy, and bold leadership in place. We have a unique opportunity to effect this change right now by electing new representatives that will represent all sectors of our community, not just from the business sector, and help build consensus and genuinely reflect the community's needs. I spent the better part of my life building bridges and fostering business environments that support creativity, inclusiveness, and a spirit of entrepreneurship that reflects what pursuing the American dream really is. I've worked with projects and budgets, both small and large, understand how to balance growth and risk with sound investment strategies. Should I earn your vote for City Council, I will bring all these qualities to bear and more and more.
Thank you. Candidate who?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry Hu. I want to thank the Dublin Chamber of Commerce, Pleasanton Weekly, and the Women's Club to provide us an opportunity to meet here tonight. I chose Dublin as my home over a decade ago. My husband and I have enjoyed raising our 2 children here. Both of them attend Dublin's excellent public schools. Dublin faces many challenges, including community health and safety, faster-paced growth, and a short-term economic downturn. So if elected, I believe my knowledge and experiences will enable me to take on these challenges. I am a first-generation immigrant coming to United States 20 years ago to pursue a PhD degree in architectural engineering. I specialized in green building technologies and environmental sustainability. At first, I worked as an assistant professor at a university. Later, I was appointed as a director of the Natural Resource Defense Council, the top nonprofit environmental advocacy organization. So besides technical work as a leader of the organization, I oversaw finance, hiring, marketing, and reporting. I was in charge of projects with tens of millions of dollars. Currently, I'm an entrepreneur and a business owner. I bring new technologies to research and the resources into traditional educational services. I'm also a founder of a nonprofit organization to help with the charity and leadership training. I work with students and families. We support families during COVID-19 and our Love Beyond the Border. We help the Indian children in the orphanage. We also help with Indonesia students to bring libraries there. So this is Sherry. This is my commitment to you to make Dublin a safe, smart, and sustainable.
Okay. Thank you. Now on to candidate McCorriston.
Good evening. My name is Mike McCorriston. My wife Sylvia and I have lived in Dublin for 26 years. We've raised two daughters who've gone through the Dublin schools and have moved on to the University of California and the California State University systems. My professional background includes a 35-year career in corporate treasury and corporate banking. And I've served as a volunteer or commission member on affordable housing and human services commissions in the Tri-Valley. These are dynamic times for our diverse city. I see an opportunity to make an impactful change, which is why I'm running for this position. I'll focus on smart development. We need to critically think about our future development efforts and create constructive solutions that meet the needs of our residents while preserving remaining open space and conserving our natural resources. Affordable housing must be part of our development strategy. Dublin has become unaffordable for many people. So I'll focus on finding creative solutions so Dublin teachers, essential workers, new families, folks with disabilities, seniors, and my own kids can afford to live here. Fiscal sustainability has become an imperative, especially given the economic impact of COVID-19. So my priorities will be to find solutions to solve financial imbalances without cutting desperately needed services to our residents, sustain our local businesses, and create local employment opportunities. I believe that I have a well thought out plan. I've got objectives and I've got solutions, and I'd be honored to have your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Muppidi.
Thank you so much to the Chamber of Commerce, the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club, and Pleasanton Weekly for putting on the event tonight. And thank you so much to everyone tuning in and doing their part to be a more informed voter. I hope everyone is staying safe right now. My name is Shri Muppidi, and I'm running for City Council to serve the community that I grew up in. My family and I moved to the Tri-Valley in 2004, and I have such fond memories of movie premieres at Regal, soccer practice in local parks, and hours spent in the library. I am so proud to call Dublin my home. But in the last 2 decades, there's also been a lot of change. The fast-paced growth has overstressed our infrastructure and schools, dividing our city. And this year has been even more difficult with the pandemic, the economic crisis, and raging wildfires in our backyard. I did not expect the world to be like this. And as Dublin faces these new challenges, along with our long-standing ones around development, traffic, and a lack of a downtown, I wanted to bring a perspective that is independent and thinking more long-term. I hold experience working in policy and economic development at the US Department of State, the Federal Reserve, and the World Bank. I currently work in venture capital as a technology investor, and I want to bring more economic growth to Dublin. I hope to bring these prior work experiences and my background in finance as well as policy to Dublin City Council. You should vote for me because I bring an independent perspective. I'm a 100% clean money candidate supported by individual donors and everyday people like you and me. And if you want someone in City Council who does their part to listen to the community, a community that I grew up in and saw change over the years, then look out for me, Shri Muppidi, in the middle of the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Plants?
Okay. Hi, I'd like to thank the Chamber, Pleasanton Weekly, and Women's Club for putting this Zoom on for us. And my name is Dawn Plants. I'm currently on the Dublin Planning Commission since May of 2019. I've lived in Dublin 40 years and watched it grow from 14,000 people to 65,000 people. I'm a common sense realist who will focus on protecting Dublin's future because I have my life invested here and I can't sit by and do nothing. Dublin voters should expect our elected officials to represent the community's concerns as their priority and not anything else. I will bring my 30 years of combined experience in land development, office building acquisition, and infrastructure construction. Who better to know the other side of the coin than me? We cannot allow ourselves to be victims of bad decisions. It's not rocket science. The community expects the quality of life to be protected by the people they elect. I was raised in the military and live by honor and respect. You make a decision and you stand by it. You don't change your mind to help a developer and totally ignore the people who elected you. The problems we have didn't happen overnight and it's not going to be fixed overnight. But if we don't do something, we only have ourselves to blame. That's it.
Thank you. Candidate Qaadri.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers, and I'd like to thank all of the Dublin residents for joining us this evening. By way of formal introduction, my name is Kashef, and I'm running for Dublin City Council. Over the past 15 years, as involved an active local citizen, I've been serving our community in a number of different ways. The first is providing access and healthcare to underserved communities through organizing health fairs that have reached thousands of people and several community medical clinics. The second area is science and technology, STEM, tutoring, coaching and mentoring specifically to our youth. And the third is community leadership and volunteering with multiple organizations, including HOAs, parent faculty clubs, and technical advisory committees. On a professional level, I've held multiple leadership roles, including business development, commercial operations, strategic planning, and product development. And this unique combination of community service and professional experience in managing complex and substantial budgets, P&L, partnerships that have generated new growth for businesses, and implementing new and innovative technologies make me uniquely qualified to address the challenges of Dublin. My three key priorities are safety and traffic, resilience and preparedness, and economic and environmental sustainability. In terms of safety and traffic, we all deserve the right to feel safe where we live, work, and play. In today's world, change is a fact of life. Now more than ever, we need to address the areas of concern and improvement and head them on and be strong in terms of resilience and preparedness. And finally, in terms of sustainability, we need to create a more sustainable Dublin by creating new businesses that are safe. We need to create affordable housing and building a resilient community and economy. So let's reach for the stars and continue to make Dublin a safe, resilient, and sustainable city. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, last but not least, candidate Qureshi.
Qureshi, thank you. No worries. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dublin Chamber of Commerce, Dublin St. Ramon Women's Club, and Pleasanton Weekly for hosting tonight's event. I hope my candidacy is motivation to all our diverse ethnic groups and younger generations to take part in the political process. I wish all the candidates all the best. Dear community members, my name is Samir Qureshi, and I'm running for Dublin City Council. The city of Dublin is a place that my family and I have proudly called home for the past 9 years. My wife, Sobia Qureshi, and I have raised 4 children that have gone through or still going through Dublin schools. We're proud to be Dublin residents. I'm running because I want to give back to this community. I've always had a passion to be in public service. And during my life, I had a privilege to serve on Environmental Commission, Human Services Committee, Zoning Board, School Board in other states, and more recently, Dublin Planning Commission. Professionally, I work as a vice president for a large technology manufacturing company managing over 100 people globally. My campaign centers around 3 words: trust, transform, together. Let me start off with trust. Building trust and providing transparency are critical to successful government and community partnership. Next is transform. Dublin has seen exponential growth and few years, and we're going through growing pains. Now it's time to really thoughtfully plan to where we want to transform ourselves in the next 10 plus years. And finally, together. I strongly believe in collaboration and working together as a community to be a united community where everyone is respected and represented. I am a big believer of transparency, building trust, and solving problems by listening to people, so I would bring this way of working into my public service life. I look forward to sharing my vision and priorities with you. Thank you.
And thank you. Sorry about the timer.
No worries.
But I started my timer on my phone and you did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we are going to move on to the questions. And as a reminder, you will have 90 seconds to answer. And Jeremy is going to ask the first question.
Thank you. As a reminder, we will be answering alphabetically. Gina and I will help guide you and the viewers through that process. So the first question to Lucrecia De Leon. The COVID-19 health crisis and shelter-in-place orders are now in their 7th month in Dublin. How would you like to see the city government aid and protect the many businesses and residents who have been so negatively impacted financially by this pandemic? And how do you feel about how business reopenings have played out?
Then good evening again to each and every one of you. I believe that COVID-19 is one of the many problems that we are facing, and health is the main thing. Health and safety is the main thing that we should be taking in consideration. But there have been other impacts as a result of this COVID-19, especially in communities. Many communities that have been underserved. And I really believe that although we are doing, the government and our community is doing the most that we could in regards of the community and the businesses that has been impacted, I believe that if there's many people in our community that are underserved and have been impacted the most, and because of inequality and system inequality, they have the lack of the benefits and the programs that could help them overcome this. An example of that is some communities like older people, people of color, they have been impacted the most, and they have not been given the opportunity for safety and healthy programs as other communities and other people. So my thing is this, before, it's a very important situation, but until we don't first acknowledge the systemic inequality and that how services is being dispersed in between our community in a unfairly way, no matter how much we do about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Rozzy Hosni. Watch the audio.
Can you hear me okay?
You're good. Thank you.
Okay. I was saying, Jeremy, I'm going to need a lot more than 90 seconds for this, so I'll try to condense the best way that I can. I'm a business owner. I'm a retail business owner. I own yoga studios all over the East Bay, and I've been severely affected by this pandemic. And I disagree somewhat with the government's response, with central government's response, the county government's response, and how it trickled down to our city government. I think our city has done everything that it possibly can to accommodate us, given the circumstances that have been set by county government upon us. But my opinion is that if we can mask up and stay 6 feet away, we should have allowed our businesses to open. A pandemic is so much more than epidemiology. There are real people behind it. There are real businesses. I've invested so much money and so much effort, life savings, into developing our business and growing our economy and hiring people, only to see that washed away by what I believe to be bad policy making from and disagreements from county. So at the city level, what I'd like to do is help and implement, basically support our local businesses by providing a single portal, a website where they can all get together and work together on solutions on how to complement each other's services. And you can do this by supporting outdoor classes, supporting outdoor dining, help easing the permit process, and making sure that we streamline this to allow to accommodate for for the growth in our business. We shouldn't let the pandemic stop us from living our lives, and that's what I'm here to talk about.
Thank you. Sherry Hu.
Thank you. So in the face of unprecedented challenges, it's essential that we support our local businesses and in turn our local families. During this COVID, the federal and state have different programs. In addition to that, our city also quickly adopted some programs such as a macro loan and also the ways to support outdoor spaces usage. And however, as Razi just talked about, the small businesses are still suffering. We need to raise more awareness for the local businesses, and we need to provide for marketing assistance, and we even need to help them to negotiate deals with large corporations. We must listen to business owners to really understand what they need and how we can help. I just gave a quick example, and in the farmers market in April, when we just opened, I actually talked to the DoorDash, a delivery company. We try to negotiate for the farmers in that deal. And with my help, actually, we were able to get a very good commission, much lower than they normally offer to the businesses here in Dublin. So there's another thing I want to say is, another thing to do is we want to help to recover the business, and we know we have to work with the city, work with the state and the county about our health measures. We need to make sure so far we are better.
Thank you. Mike McCorriston.
Hi, these are unprecedented times. Health and safety are primary considerations. I agree that the government has moved through the process, the state government with caution, but you look at how effective they've been on a national scale, it's pretty good. But I do support the local efforts by the Tri-Valley civic leaders to find a solution to keep these businesses open. We've got to do that. But we also have to consider that our residents are impacted financially. The small businesses are definitely hurting. But the unemployment rate in Dublin is relatively consistent with the national level. We need to think about that. So we need to think about solutions. We need to think about small business incentives, including the expansion of possibly sales tax reimbursement programs, grants for capital investments, tax rebates, impact fee deferrals, reductions in certain types of development projects, such as affordable housing and senior housing and energy efficient projects. These are long-term solutions, but this pandemic is probably not going to go away tomorrow. In the meantime, we need to look at sustainability measures, such as these microloan programs are great, rent deferral programs, and we need to continue to work with our counties, state, and federal agencies to support opportunities such as the CARE grant program that has been reallocated to some of these COVID-19 supports.
Thank you. Shri Muppidi.
Health and safety is a #1 priority for me, as well as I believe for the city and the rest of the state. But we don't want another second or even a third wave of COVID increases. But I think that what is unique about Dublin is that we do not have as high of an incident rate as compared to the rest of the county. So there may be an opportunity to speed in the reopening of Dublin, especially when San Ramon, which is in Contra Costa County, has been able to open so quickly and we share a border with the city. So in ways where I think that we can help the city and help small businesses recover from COVID, if I were to be elected to city council, is continuing our local micro grant programs, which has been mentioned already, and allowing more funding so that we are supporting these businesses to be able to recover, cutting permitting and licensing fees in the interim as we kind of allow these businesses to adapt, cap rent increases, and initiate rent deferral programs, ease permitting procedures for outdoor seating and outdoor services, for example, having outdoor food fairs where we have different businesses come together, and then also ensuring that public safety is enforced, where we are still ensuring that everyone has their masks on. And things that I've already been doing as a citizen, not even in city council, is I'm launching a Buy Dublin campaign where we can pull together and crowdsource a directory of small businesses, so local business owners can add their businesses and different residents can buy local. So look out for that at streamupd.com, where you can actually support local businesses through that.
Thank you. Dawn Plants.
Okay, we all admit COVID was an unexpected disaster, and it's totally out of our control, pretty much, until science comes up with something. And I've watched people lose their jobs, restaurants, service stores, everything in Dublin close. It's like a ghost town. It reminds me of the 2008 recession. It was terrible. And no one can really predict what's going to happen. We just have to work with it, what we've got, until it gets better. And so basically, it's not going to be easy, but Dublin survived the 2008 recession, so we can survive this one too.
Thank you. Kashef Qaadri.
So we can't cling to what's worked in the past and just sit idle and hope for the best. We need to plan, resource, and adapt to disasters and implement a holistic disaster management framework at all levels. Coping with pandemics will unquestionably have lasting impacts. I mean, if you look at our budget specifically, 50% of that comes from property taxes and retail. The city of Dublin will definitely take a hit, and we need to rebound from that. We need to prepare, we need to prevent and respond to and recover from the pandemic by supporting our local businesses and community-driven solutions. By providing community-driven solutions, we need to provide scientific evidence-based solutions and knowledge for informed decisions and mitigate the economic impact and initiate recovery. I think the two big things, I mentioned earlier that resilience is one of my top priorities and preparedness. The first is around communication. We need to be alerted as the county, the federal, the city level come out with new information. We need to have alert systems so that we're informed both from a residence level as well as a business level. You need to be able to propagate that information quickly, and then we need to find ways of supporting that, right? Finding those programs as a city that we can provide to the small businesses in particular to help them bounce back. In leveraging my background in healthcare and public health, I think we can better prepare to deal with various disasters, including COVID-19.
Thank you. Samir Qureshi.
Great. First, I want to say the city staff has done an amazing job overall, informing the community and the businesses. I think they have actually done a very good job. I've actually heard that from other cities too that I've talked to. We've seen many businesses impacted. People are losing jobs, families are suffering. So we have to try to do whatever we can to help them. I know we will never be back to the way how it was in past, but we have to figure out how to get the best direction and information back to our businesses to survive and reopen. So I think, in my opinion, what we need to do is work with county officials where actually the information comes from, the guidance comes from, and make sure they understand the Dublin needs versus other cities in our county. We also have to continue the microloans programs and other ways how we could help our businesses. It's important that we actually support our local businesses. So creating programs where actually people can go buy stuff from them or have like different evenings for different products throughout the town. I believe we should also create a business community leadership type of a committee where actually these small businesses can decide among themselves what works best for them and come back to the city, say, hey, this is where we need help. Can you help us? And ultimately, I think it goes back to is working with the state and seeing what other opportunities we have to save these businesses and help them survive.
Thank you. And the final respondent to this question, Shawn Costello.
Thank you very much. As a employee of Chuck E. Cheese, I've been there since 2001 until now, And we have closed our doors because of the COVID-19. There's only 2 people that can be in the store at one time, and they eliminated my job. So I am also out of work. I am, what I want to do is, and I've been saying this for 30 years, is that I want to make a database of disabled people and elderly people that are really in need of help, and seeing them on a daily basis, even over the phone, to see if they're okay, to check on them on a daily basis, to make sure that they are all okay. But when I try to do this, people say you're out of order. I should not be out of order, because this affects everybody here in our city. We have to fight for our jobs. We have to fight to be who we are in our places where we live. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the second question now, and candidate Hasni will start us off. Well, we've talked about COVID, and the other major storyline this spring and summer has been social justice reform. As a council member, what specific types of actions will you take to affect positive change in community policing and criminal justice in Dublin? And truly, what kind of role can the City Council play in ensuring such changes, considering that the city contracts with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office to provide Dublin police services?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. First and foremost, thank you for that question. It's an opportunity for us to prove ourselves and support our community and support our law enforcement. I'm a big avid supporter of law enforcement and providing our community with a safe and effective environment for our businesses to succeed. Businesses cannot succeed, jobs cannot be made if we don't have law and order in our community. And so, you know, I refer back a little bit to a story, you know, about probably 4 months ago. I was trying to interview people to bring back, as my business was one of the few businesses that secured PPP financing. And so part of that gig was to try to interview people and bring people back to the job. And right as I was interviewing, I would see, you know, protests happening outside of our windows. We would see, you know, cops and helicopters swirling above us and everything else like that. And I reminded the candidate that I was interviewing, what matters here the most is providing jobs and providing an opportunity for everybody to have gainful employment. So I'm a big supporter of our law enforcement to be able to provide a safe and effective environment for us to do that in. I believe Sheriff Ahern and Alameda County Sheriff Department has done a great job in making sure that we stay safe. I disagreed with a little bit of the zero bail policies that were enforced during the lockdown. I thought that was a bad idea, but I could understand a little bit where we come from. I will support sensitivity training for our police academy or for our police cadets, but I will also make sure that they get all the support that they need.
Thank you. And candidate who?
So public safety is the #1 priority to everybody. And I did some study before today's debate. So our Dublin has population around 67,000, and currently we have a police around 67 personnel. So as you can see, for law enforcement officers per capita is about 1 police out of 1,000 population. And I did research and I found out there's a Professor James McCabe. He did a study on the police enforcement. He found there's average of 2 police per 1,000 people. And for high-level review, you can say the police in our city has been very efficient. Only in the last year, there's a 38,000 calls were handled, which is over 100 calls a day. We really appreciate what the police has done for us. They have worked really hard to keep us safe. However, this doesn't mean we do not have a place for improvement. We should always seek for more transparent and more community engagement. I'm glad that right now we have a task force to seek community input to find out the ways can improve our public safety. And also, I don't think we need an oversight committee. We don't need additional layer of governance. So I'm a strong supporter of the police. I think they have done a good job, and I think our safety is the best.
Thank you. Candidate Mccorriston.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
You know, the relationship between the city and our public safety groups, the police, has been very good over many years. And as other candidates have said, they've done a great job over the years as well. I think my answer is very succinct. We always have to look for ways of improvement. Yes, the police have a lot of responsibility, but I, on the other hand, think transparency is rooted in discussions with residents, discussions with oversight committees, and having a better form of communication. The way I look at it, there's certainly nothing wrong with the community trying to improve the process. And I think, as I said, the process has been working pretty good overall, but there's always room for improvement.
Thank you. Candidate Muppidi.
Thank you so much for this question. I think it is very important to discuss these types of issues, especially at a time when the nation is reeling with different types of cases like these. First off, I just want to say that the Dublin's police and fire departments have provided our town with exemplary service. Dublin is one of the safest towns that I've ever grown up and lived in. I feel very safe walking around my neighborhood, and just I'm happy to live in such a comfortable community like Dublin. And so I really value the services that our service members have been provided to our community to make it safe. But as others have mentioned, there are always opportunities for improvement. So one thing I want to note is that our city's police services are contracted out with the Alameda County. And so we need to make sure that we work with the county to implement more transparency and accountability. And so some of my ideas are earmarking more funding to first responders around mental health crises and social caseworkers so that we can address issues around where there might not be needed a full police force for example, for a person who's experiencing a mental health crisis. And I further support community involvement in our public safety efforts like the Citizens Task Force. I think that we can invest more resources into police training and sensitivity training. And I think that we should also increase funding for violence prevention and reentry services, investigate violent crimes that are, for example, like around domestic violence. But I think that we should continue working with the county. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Plants.
I support the Dublin Police. They've done a great job for years and years, especially the last 10, considering. And they have a tough job. They do it great. They're there when you need them. I don't find anything wrong with them. If there's individual cases, I'm sure they get taken care of. And I think they do great. And I wouldn't want them out of here. I want them here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Qaadri.
Yeah, so first of all, I think safety is oftentimes a top priority when we choose where to live, work, and play. And it's a reason why a lot of people, including myself, decided to move to Dublin in the first place. As people have mentioned, we're really fortunate that Dublin is a fairly safe place, but we need to constantly explore new ways to make Dublin better and safer for years to come. If you look at the crime rates, I think the Dublin Police Department has done a fantastic job, but we're still trailing when you look at the numbers as compared to Pleasanton, San Ramon, and Livermore, right? And I think that could be improved. The other big area of improvement is, coming from a business perspective, anytime you have a contractor, you have checks and balances. And I see that as lacking within the city of Dublin. A major area is accountability and transparency. And unfortunately, we fall short in this regard. We need to establish and implement a public oversight committee with Dublin residents and increase that transparency. We need to support this transparency aligned with the goals of the community to make sure that the policies and the way things are happening are community oriented. And that's the way we can address our safety concerns, but make sure it's done in the best and most efficient manner possible. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Qureshi.
First, I want to say public safety is one of my top priorities, and I believe our Dublin Police has done an amazing job over the last years, and actually they continue to do a great job every day. So I want to thank them for their service. So to me, I think in a growing city like this, like Dublin, public safety should be one of the top priorities for any leaders. So the way I think about this is I want to make sure that we are actually giving equal service and protection to our residents. I also feel that the residents' connection is very important. So as we are grown through the years and we have so many diversity groups in this town, I want to be very supportive of bringing more diversity into our police department. I want to work with our Alameda County Sheriff to see how we could recruit an additional police that actually would be more sufficient to support our community with so much diversity. I also feel that we need to invest a little bit more on our training with these current crises that we're going through. So making sure our police department has the right training that's needed to work with our community. And I know there's a task force being put in. I'm very supportive of the task force to working with the community and bring that connection back with the police and the city. So ultimately, I say that our contract with Alameda County is saving us money, and it gives us flexibility and also saves us overall long-term impact on our finances.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Costello.
Sorry, I lost my mouse. Yes, I am a big fan of equal rights, and I mean equal rights for everybody. And I can understand when they say that Black Lives Matter, but I say that everybody matters. Everybody in this room matters. Everybody in this that is watching this here all matter to everybody, and that we can work together. We can make sure that we are safe together, and that we want to make sure that the police, the fire, the ambulance people all feel safe in Dublin to work here. That is in my campaign statement. I believe that they are so important to us to make us feel safe in our homes. And I thank you, Dublin emergency people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And candidate Deleon.
Okay, thank you. Then we need the police department in our community, and so far they have been doing a good job, but we do have problems in the sense that we need to see more diversity. We need to see more a better relationship with community of different background, and we need to be able to track what kind of people we need to have accountability. So we do have, I can't complain in the sense that yes, Dublin has been blessed in the sense that we have good safety police department in place. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge that there is situations that we should be improving in is the relationship with our police and the different communities that we have. So I will say that At this point, diversity is important. I believe that more training is needed in our city where, like I said before, that our police department understands the different community, and we have to be able to track the kind of detention that they have, track to make sure that we implementing fair and equal treatment to everyone, no matter how different we are. That's what I could say. Thank you.
Thank you. Third question, we will start with Sherry Hu. Let's talk about housing. Two-part question. What areas of the city will you recommend when Dublin is given its regional housing needs, or RENA, obligation? And what is your vision for the land where the At Dublin project has been proposed?
Hi, this is a very hot topic everybody cares a lot. As many of you know, and we have a RENA, we have a quota there, and in the past, we met the market price the housing 500%, but we do not met the lower income for different various types of RENA. And this is a tough question, and which part of the town we need to build on, and we have to take a hard look of our city's land available and how we can make the place affordable, and also find the developers and find the different programs they would like to work with us. And I talked with the city manager. I think she talked about the new programs they were trying to work on together is to take on these issues. I would say for our Dublin, it's critical. So I'll come back to this later on. But for at the Dublin project, I want to say my home is right on the east side of Brannigan Street. There's no distance from my home to the Dublin project. Clearly, residents do not want any more houses, and the proposed plan last time didn't work. We want to have a procedure, have a community input. We want to make sure the community will be part of the big players, will have their process into the design and the development of the project.
Thank you. Michael McCorriston.
As far as residential development is concerned, the city has benefited from years of development, and it has been successful trying to meet certain standards, but it has fallen a little short. In terms of where this development should look, we should look for focused building housing around transit-oriented centers, right? The RENA standards have been set in motion. They're going to put new pressure on us, but we need to look at the strategic location of the development. We need to look at creative financing solutions, working with our nonprofits, developers, our county and state agencies for funding, maybe considering other incentives like impact fees. Lots of opportunity here, but the focus is on building affordable housing solutions around an integrated environment, around transit-oriented centers. In terms of the At Dublin, I think that was the other question. That had, the fallout of that was lack of communication, and it was nobody's fault. It was just a misalignment. And I think that it could have been better if the city and the residents got together and discussed.
Thank you. Shri Muppidi.
So I think this is a really important question, especially as Dublin is wrapping up its cycle and starting its new cycle of 8 years to incorporate about 2,200 new units of housing within Dublin. And if we don't achieve this number that is mandated by the state, we are liable to millions of dollars of fines, as Pleasanton, for example, was incurred and lost a lot of different public transportation and transportation credits as well. So this is important for Dublin City Council to really think about as we're going into the next phase of going from growth to maintenance and maintaining our community. So in terms of where I think that we should actually implement this types of housing is really focusing on the transit-oriented communities around our Dublin area, our downtown Dublin area, which is now will be executed in the next decade or so. So trying to put in different units of housing that we can kind of also allow the downtown community to benefit from those residents there. We can also look at different pockets of land that are underutilized, for example, around Tasahara or behind like the Roke Ranch area. And then quickly on the At Dublin project, I think there was a lack of collaboration with the community and the developers, especially since the developers have been working on this particular project for over the course of a number of years and did not engage the community in a way that makes sense for the community. So
Thank you. Dawn Plants.
We have 500 units already approved going in behind Ross. We have more units going in that haven't even been built yet. Until this pandemic eases off, I don't think builders are going to be building anything, but it would be nice to know it's a good time to reevaluate the entire situation for the population density, which is what I'm the most concerned with. In 1980, it was 900 people per square mile. In 2010, it was 3,500 people per square mile. Now it's up to 4,500 people per square mile, and it's just getting to be too much. And I wouldn't want to see every blade of grass covered with concrete around here. We won't have Dublin's new American backyard anymore when that happens. So the problem is we need to focus on population, the density, and we already have the numbers. We've already got everything we need, and not, the housing crisis isn't anything new. It's been around since 1970. And it's just being talked about more nowadays when it's feasible, which is the problem. Lack of feasibility to do these projects and approve them. And that's the main reason why I'm here, is to make sure that they make sense and don't create tons of pollution, ignore all the environment.
Thank you. Kashef Qaadri.
Yeah, so as you mentioned in your first question, and as required and mandated by the state, we need to add additional housing. We need to do this so that we're including low-income housing and senior housing in particular. We need to ensure inclusive and affordable housing across all income brackets. We need to do this responsibly and sustainably, ensuring that we have the adequate infrastructure to support these new houses. We need to think about adequate traffic flow in schools to meet these state requirements. We need to think critically about our growth as a city and do it in a safe and environmentally aware manner. And then just speaking to the environmental sustainability, we need to make Dublin more bike friendly, more livable, where residents can meet their needs without continuously having to get into a car. We need to think about mixed use and accessible downtown with housing and retail and restaurants and green spaces, which are just going to further provide a value to as a center of activity. And this is going to be a catalyst for direct change, right? And promoting more active and sustainable lifestyle. And then regarding the vision at Dublin, the two things that I'll mention here, one is definitely transparency, accountability, and community input. We need to work on improving that. And the second is making sure that we have scientific evidence to back up those environmental impact claims, and they're up to date.
Samir Qureshi.
Yep. First, I think I agree with a lot of comments that have already been made. We do have a state mandated housing that we need to put out there. But I also feel that we need to educate our community. They need to understand what is RHNA, how does this impact our community? So we need to look at, one, doing that. Second, we need to make sure we are getting the fair share of our housing. So we need to look at how the formulas are done and making sure that we have the right number. When it comes down to where to put it, I would definitely be looking at transit-oriented communities and development. I think that's the way we need to look at how we could provide best affordable housing for our community and make sure that people actually are willing to come back and can afford to live in Dublin as they graduate from colleges and come back to their own communities. We want folks who are born here, grew up here, want them to come back and have the opportunity to live and have a place to live or so. Additionally, I am very much about on the At Dublin project. I want to make sure, I think this particular project was where we did not have the right community input. So we want to make sure we have the right community input. We also have looked at every impact when it comes to school, traffic, environment, and make sure that we have the right mix of residential and commercial. We just can't be putting more housing, but we got to do the right way, the right balance with the community input, where developers also understand and the works of the city. So ultimately, it's a collaborative effort that we need to.
Thank you. Shawn Costello.
Hello. Yes, as a person that lives over here in Community Place Apartments, my building was the very first building in this section of Dublin. It never went any further for a long time. And then all of a sudden everything just sprouted up and we lost all of our open space and everything. And now they're building next door to me, which is what we were all suing to 2 years ago, telling them that we don't want this. And we voted it down and they go, boom, we're gonna sue you. Oh dear, we're gonna fall on our sword and we're gonna let them do it. And so they've been building for a year where I live. And now across the street, they're building more across the street at the boulevard. Me in a wheelchair, I had to travel, not in a car, not in a bus, in my wheelchair across Dublin. It is very, very difficult for all of us to travel when there are more and more cars, more and more people in the area. I don't mind that they're gonna build houses and stuff, but I mind when they build it for the rich and not for the disabled, not.
Thank you. Lucrecia De Leon.
Yes, we should not be scared of growth. I think what it is that we must take in consideration our community interests and base our plan of growth and development based on the need of our community. We need housing, we need affordable housing. So it's very important for that to be part of the plan. We will continue growing as a suburb in this modern city. So we need to be making sure stick to the master plan and come up with a plan that makes sense for our community, makes sense for the people who live here, and makes sense in the sense that we could it could be affordable, not only for the ones that already have a home here, but for all the other young people that are graduating, going for college and coming back. Our teachers, our fire people, the people who does the fire, our firemen and women also. So it's to come up with creative plan that works for our community and work for our growth. We just have to be in communication. We should do everything, just making sure that we have our community interests first in place. Thank you.
Thank you. And to wrap up this question, Rozzy Hosni. I think audio check.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Apologies, sorry. What an important question to wrap up this discussion with, and I'm so happy to be able to address this. One of the things, as a realtor and as a person who's sold homes in Dublin, there is an enormous demand for homes right now in Dublin. You put a house on the market, you'll probably have 5, 6 offers, 7 offers over asking with no contingencies. People are moving out of urban centers to Dublin. The growth in Dublin is unique, and it's awesome to kind of see that, because that increases the value of our property, that increases the amount of taxes that are coming in for sales tax. People spend more time here, and it's important to see that. With respect to building homes, I think everybody that I've talked to in Dublin, all my friends that live from east to west Dublin to the middle of Dublin, have said, hey, stop the development and focus on infrastructure. We have too many homes. But like the previous candidates said, we have a RENA obligation to abide by. So that means that we have to educate you. We have to tell you that we have X amount of homes that we have to build within a certain amount of years so that we don't lose out on tax dollars, or we face the state coming in and telling us to build the homes the way they want to, the way they want them to build them, with the builders. So we have to work together with that, or we have to lobby the housing authority to reduce our numbers, basically, to allow us not to build as many homes. It's a catch-22, but open communication is there. Must be there. At Dublin, it is extremely important that we keep an open communication. I think the City Council did a great job by soliciting community input at the very beginning of this project and throughout the project. And I think, look, if the pandemic has showed us anything, is that it's very easy to get Zoom community input. So if things change, get the community involved. That's it.
Thank you. And on to what will be our final question, so we have ample time for closing statements. And we're going to start with candidate McCorriston. Regarding the plan to transform the core of Dublin, as a city council member, what will you recommend to encourage businesses and restaurants to locate there, ensure residents visit the area, and give Dublin a true community downtown?
Well, thank you for the question. First of all, we need to have a focal point in our community. We need to have a downtown Dublin. And frankly, you know, if I say it this way, I want it to happen in my lifetime, okay? You know, as a council member, I'd strongly encourage the acceleration of this project into the development stage. It's a great location. It's near the transit centers, transit-oriented zones. It'll provide a mixed use of commercial affordable housing, and it'll create a local employment. It's an attraction. It's something that I think will bring in new businesses. In terms of what you can provide to incentivize, that would include some of the things I've already talked about. You know, incentives, tax rebates, other types of financial incentives to get people motivated and to get small businesses into the area. So, you know, all in all, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it as a centerpiece. And I am going to push very hard, if I'm elected, to support that project.
Thank you. And candidate Muppidi.
Thank you so much for this question. I am really, really excited about our vision to execute on a downtown center. Our town sorely needs a downtown center. When we look at, for example, Pleasanton and Livermore, Dublin residents are taking business out of Dublin and sales tax revenue out of Dublin so that they can go to Pleasanton and Livermore to enjoy the restaurants, the bars, the stores. And I think that Dublin not only can support our local business community by encouraging businesses to come and set up shop in the downtown center, but also bring in tax revenue into our city so we can reinvest into that, into our different infrastructure, schools, and other resources for our city. So in terms of my plans for the downtown vision, I think that it's really important to have community input from the beginning. We need to work with the community so that we don't run into issues like at Dublin Project, where we run into this miscommunication or lack of collaboration. So engaging the community from the beginning is something that I really, really want to prioritize to ensure that we have a community downtown center that everyone can enjoy. And some of the priorities that I have is making sure that it's pedestrian friendly. So friends, family can walk their dogs, their pets with their family and friends. There's a public square that people can enjoy. And to do this, we need to have incentives with streamlined permits and licenses for businesses, grants and commercial rent caps so that businesses aren't being pushed out by landlords, development by supporting local housing and apartments so there's enough people to actually go there, and really ensuring that it's just a community-centered.
Thank you. Candidate plants.
Well, so far, the game plan is 2,000 houses mixed with retail, which kind of is unusual zoning that I've never heard of. And it's going to be pretty much with all the housing on behind Ross and in the center. It's going to be pretty crowded, and it's going to be high density, and it's going to be multi-stories. And not the little quaint downtowns like you see in Livermore and Pleasanton with the small little shops. But that's the plan. And I don't know. It's going to be in the future if anybody has any money to put in it by then. That's the question, because we still don't know anything about where our future is going, unfortunately. So hopefully something can happen that's more reasonable, because 2,000 units means a lot of cars in the area, and we're already overburdened with the streets as it is. And my concern is, as the population increases, who pays for the infrastructure? Because it's not going to be the developer.
Thank you. Candidate Qaadri.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, right, and as all of you know, over the past decade, Dublin has seen a really rapid growth. It's one of the fastest growing cities in California. And while we've been really quick to add housing, our commercial development has been really slow to catch up. We need to develop a vibrant, environmentally and economically sustainable city, right? And we need to have a balance of both homes and businesses. And that helps promote a healthy and sustainable, walkable, bikeable city, right? Something that's friendly for everyone. And it also helps keep tax dollars within Dublin and support the needs of the city. So as such, I personally would like to see a Dublin or a downtown area in Dublin. And I think that would make it more family friendly, right? Having a place, with housing and retail and restaurants and green spaces, et cetera, it would make a really nice center of activity. And it would certainly serve as a catalyst for growth. And I think it's important to have an increase in it would have an increase in our economic sustainability and make it more viable and thriving as a city and keep the tax dollars within Dublin. So absolutely supportive of the idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Qureshi.
Well, like everybody else said, I think if you ask most of the Dublin, they will all say, yes, we want a Dublin downtown. I'm very supportive of the project. What we got to do is make sure that we have the community feedback. You look at the projects like at Dublin, how much participation we had. Same thing we should do with this. We should actually kind of let's go on a tour, Dublin downtown tour through the city, ask the community, find out what the needs are. But ultimately, we are going to have to make space. We're going to have to create a right downtown that fits us for long term, not for a year, 2 years, but like what happens a few years from now, 10 years from now? How do we make sure we bring right revenues? How do we incentivize the businesses right now to move? Because they may have to move. We may have to give rebates. We may have to give some tax breaks or so. But ultimately, yes, this may include some housing. Ultimately, this may include some changes, but I believe it's the right thing to do. We've been talking about Dublin downtown for years and years. People who've been living here have heard this for so many years. So I think let's make this reality. Let's come together as a community. Let's make sure we are doing this the right way and for sustainable long-term solution. With the revenues coming down from our development fees, let's find other alternatives to take care of those revenue that we need to look at. So I think this is the right thing. I would support it. And I would hope that this eventually comes to reality with the right community effort.
Thank you. Candidate Costello.
Yes, as I've been saying for 32 years, I've been on the ballot 32 years. And why do I talk about this topic all the time? Because I want to make this whole city disabled friendly. And if you're going to make the downtown, you got to make it so that everybody can roll, walk, skip, whatever it is, safely in the city and not get hit by cars, getting really, really busy trying to get to one store to the other. And I think that if they're going to make all these homes or apartments behind Ross, that they should be literally low income, period. That would help our low income base be caught up dramatically. Other than that, we all should slow down in our growth, period, so that our whole city can catch up to what it is, so that it all gets comfortable and not congested.
Thank you. Candidate De Leon.
I believe that Dublin deserves now more than ever a downtown, and it should be pedestrian friendly. And with your support, when elected as your council, that will be one of my first issues that I will be working on. I will try to bring that to the table, not try, I will bring it to the table so we could go ahead and start working and creating a budgeting plan that can make the downtown a reality. There will be many benefits once we accomplish the downtown. But now the first thing we will need to do, like I said, with your support, electing me as your council, I will bring that to the table, and with the help with the other team of the other council members, we will make that plan a reality. So trust me, everybody believes that it will happen, and I do believe that it will happen because we deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Hasni.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Awesome. So I think downtown Dublin's got to be a reality. One of the best things that I think one of the best locations that I've ever experienced that we have for our yoga studio businesses is actually, we have a location right off of Village Parkway, which is pseudo downtown Dublin, right across the street from the post office. And there is a community there that's dying to kind of grow and get out and wanting to make sure that we transform that area and around that area into something beautiful, like what you'd see in Pleasanton or possibly Livermore, or even Dawn. I would kill to be sometimes on the planning commission meetings and just hear what they have to say. But I think mirroring a little bit like Santana Row and Campbell, things like that we could actually provide for our downtown are going to be huge. What COVID-19 and what this pandemic has brought to light is our need to keep our sales tax dollars in our city borders. And right now, what's happening is that people will go to Pleasanton, people will go to Livermore and spend that money over there. Our shortage, our budget shortage right now in sales tax revenue alone is almost over $2 million due to this pandemic. So we need to encourage growth in our downtown to bring the sales tax dollars back and make sure that we support our businesses that are going to be building out there. I support measures to make economic, to make an economic special, designate downtown area as an economic special zone where we can streamline permit fees, assist with TI projects, and reduce sewer connection fees and make it more feasible for people to help out, to people to build out their dream businesses. So vote me in.
Okay, and to wrap up this question, candidate who?
Thank you. Downtown project is like a project everybody get excited about. We have been looking forward to have our own downtown for years, but we have to do it right. And we understand this will bring businesses here and will bring additional taxes for our city. And this will become a pride for everybody here. And we also want to make sure, and this is a safe place we can congregate, we can dine and shop and let our children play there, and we share our citizens' civil life there. And meanwhile, we want to make sure we have enough infrastructures, we have enough considerations, and will mitigate all the environmental impacts. And we need to get enough community engagement to make it right. I heard the concerns from residents and from some of our candidates today. There will be, in current plan, 2,000 houses. So how we do it right, how we consider do not overburden our infrastructure and traffic. That's very important to everybody. So this is the one thing we want to make sure. And as an architectural engineer and an environmentalist, I also want to make sure we have a style. We don't want a big boxes design. Okay.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our closing statements. Each candidate will now have up to 3 minutes to provide a closing comment. We will keep you on your toes and go in reverse alphabetical order from the end. So we will start with Samir Qureshi.
Great, thank you. As I shared earlier, that my campaign centers around these 3 words: trust, transform, together. So let me explain further. Trust. I assure you that I will be honest with all our community members so that we can solve issues of things like public safety, emergency response services, and getting through the current COVID pandemic crisis. I want to make sure that our small businesses can survive through these pandemic times and be ready to get back to normal once this is over. I've been part of corporate global leadership team to keep our 46,000 employees safe through these pandemic crises. So I will bring that experience to the City Council. Next, transform. Economic development, smart and sustainable growth, and traffic issues are top of my list when it comes to transformation of Dublin. With the beautiful addition of Carl Zeiss and Kaiser Buildings Dublin, let's work with other medical companies to make Dublin a medtech hub. This will attract jobs and revenue to the city. As we reach build out of the city, it's important that we work with the community to make sure we have a smart and sustainable growth at the right pace for the next few years. Traffic issues will continue to impact us as we grow, so we must look at intelligent traffic management system to improve traffic flows. Financially, Dublin has done a great job over the last few years, but we need to think outside the box to make sure we have sustainable revenue streaming coming over the next few years. And the last, together. I want to make sure we have improved collaboration with our school district on how city can work with schools to improve the services that we provide. Here are some examples how we can improve collaboration. With the second high school coming, there might be challenges with the road parking, so let's work with district to find a solution. We need to evaluate where more crossing guards are needed to keep our children safe. Let's make sure we build future schools based on what community needs are to avoid overcrowding. Dublin is a town made up of a wide range of identities and cultures. Working together means understanding everyone's backgrounds and practicing inclusivity throughout our city. This will make us a great united community. In closing, I will work hard for Dublin residents and make sure we continue to provide a quality of life for everyone. In politics, everything starts at local level. So trust me to keep you and your family safe. Let's work on transforming our city and together. Thank you, and I'm always available to speak with anyone who's interested in learning more. I ask you to please consider voting for me as your next Dublin City Council member. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Kashef Qaadri.
So after listening to the other candidates, while there is some overlap, there are a few key and specific differentiators in my platform, which uniquely qualify me for the opportunity to serve on the council. The first is regarding housing. So we need to ensure inclusive and affordable housing across all income brackets. We need to do this responsibly and sustainably, ensuring the adequate infrastructure and support and services to support this. The second key differentiator is a call for increased transparency and accountability. And this starts with me, your next council member. Leveraging my professional background and experience and by directly involving and engaging many of you, the residents of Dublin, I've prepared a clear and actionable 30, 60, 90-day plan, which I'll be releasing online in the coming days. We need increased transparency in our public safety and by creating a public oversight committee. Finally, it's vital that we have people serve on the city council who represent Dublin with integrity and strive for the well-being of each and every one of you. My primary goal is to be the voice of Dublin, represented honorably, and grow the opportunity to community to even greater heights. Over the past few weeks in particular, I've had the opportunity to connect with so many of you. I'll continue to do so even as your next council member. I want to understand the things you love about Dublin, but also understand your issues, your concerns, and your problems. So let's come together and work on common solutions. And based on these conversations, I've shared my thoughts on the key priorities: safety and traffic, resilience and preparedness, and economic and environmental sustainability on my website. I'd love to connect with you in a safe and responsible manner. Please visit my website, kasheffordublin.com. Let's connect, let's engage. We can't do this without your support. There's so many wonderful things about Dublin, and it's why we all choose to live here. So let's work together and tackle our areas of improvement. So once you receive your ballot, remember to vote with the candidate with the education, the experience, and the plan to improve Dublin. That candidate being Kashef Qaadri. Thank you again to the organizers, the Chamber of Commerce, the San Ramon Women's Club, and the Pleasanton Weekly. And thank you all for all of my friends in Dublin, family, neighbors, for participating today. Now more than ever, I will strive from day one to work for you and our community. We have the willingness to succeed, and only with your support can we create new opportunities and impact. As your next city council member, I look forward to working with you to make Dublin safe, resilient, and sustainable for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, Dawn Plants.
I'm running for city council because I've been on the planning commission since May 2019. And I spent that time using my experience working in development and construction for so many years to identify the mysterious development race, this overcrowded Dublin the last 10 years. I've heard from many residents who are not happy with the overcrowding, traffic, pollution, and crowded schools. I see on social media how the general public seems to believe the city council and planning commission get kickbacks from developers or some sort of extra money. And either that or they're wasting taxpayer money on frivolous projects, approving too much multi-story housing, and giving too many concessions to developers, all for development income. I believe it took years to get to this point, and it's not going to be fixed overnight. But we can slow down the pace and start investigating the entitlement process much closer. We need to have city officials with more than good intentions. We need people with reasonable levels of development, construction, job costing, urban planning, infrastructure, or transportation experience. These are people like me who are experienced in the procedures, but may not have the political personality. At this point, we are headed for disaster. It's time to admit the methods used from 20 years ago aren't working anymore. As a retired construction administrator, I have the experience and the desire, because I've lived here 40 years and I love this town to death. Those of us who live here pay a lot of money to live here, and we deserve a lot better. I didn't plan to be here, I was asked to be here. Our quality of life and future depend on it. Not every blade of grass needs to be covered with housing. You can only fit so many people into a certain space physically. Dublin is not a major urban city. It won't be easy, but if we don't start doing something very soon, we only have ourselves to blame. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Muppidi.
I first want to thank the Dublin Chamber of Commerce, the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club, and Pleasanton Weekly for hosting us tonight, and for everyone tuning in. I hope your Thursday night has been fun so far. We need a new and fresh voice in City Council. Our city needs someone who's thinking long-term for our future. And I don't just mean for the next 4 to 8 years down the line, but for the next 20, 30 years down the line. I want Dublin to be that community where I raise my children in, the community that I grew up in. And if we don't take the steps now to make changes in our infrastructure, our stagnating economy, or around climate change, then we may not even have a Dublin that we're proud of for our next generation. I've seen the city change so much in the last 2 decades, and I want to be a part of a new wave of change in the next 2 decades to address the challenges we're facing. My priorities are around promoting local economic growth, building a downtown Dublin, investing in our infrastructure and public safety resources, addressing climate change with a long-term action plan, and being pragmatic about our development as our city shifts from its growth phase to its maintenance phase. Our city will be hit with millions of dollars of fines if we aren't smart about development. And this millions of fines will just add to our city deficit as we continue to grapple with the fallout from COVID-19. I hold prior experience working in the government, having worked in policy at the US Department of State, worked for the former US National Security Advisor, and worked on local political campaigns since 2010. I hold experience in economic development, having worked at the Federal Reserve and now as a venture capitalist, where I invest in high growth technology companies to bring local jobs and economic growth to our region. I also run a nonprofit teaching design and entrepreneurship to increase the number of female founders launching startups, and I aim to bring this type of innovation to the Dublin business community as well. I earned both my bachelor's and master's degrees in economics and technology at Stanford University. I'm already doing things right now to support our community. To support local business now as they grapple with COVID-19, I'm currently running the Buy Dublin campaign to crowdsource a directory of up-to-date information of local businesses so our residents can buy locally and support our business community. I'm also hosting other community events like college readiness seminars to help students and parents prepare for college season as everything is virtual now, and entrepreneurship workshops to help our aspiring founders to launch businesses. You can check out more information at shreemuppidi.com. You should vote for me because I bring an independent perspective. I'm 100% clean money candidate supported only by individual donors like everyday people like you and me. I consider each proposal carefully because nothing in our world is black or white, and instead there's nuance to every single problem that we look at. And if you want someone in City Council who does their part to actually listen to the community, a community that I grew up in, have seen in the past 20 years change, then look out for me in the middle of the ballot. Vote Shri Muppidi, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, Michael McCorriston.
You know, I'd like to thank the sponsors this evening, the Pleasanton Weekly, the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club, and the Dublin Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event and allowing me the opportunity to convey my message to you. You know, we all have great ideas about fiscal and environmental sustainability during these difficult times, and we're all looking toward the future quality of life in the city we love. You know, but I've learned that one person cannot solve the problems of a city independently, but that person can be a catalyst for meaningful change through collaboration with others. You know, dedication is a given, but building through collaboration is my strength. What distinguishes me from other candidates, you know, it's not necessarily my academic achievements, my leadership and accomplishments in my professional career in corporate finance, or my civic involvement. Rather, it's my ethics, my transparency, and approach to problem solving through teamwork, listening, and respecting the views of others. The underpinnings of my professional career in finance has always been based on trust. Trust and support are what I'm seeking from you tonight to allow me to represent you on the Dublin City Council. I will mention that I do have strong endorsements from a number of local leaders and organizations. Members, remember, you know, in the end, the future direction of our city is dependent on what we leave behind as community leaders. I take this opportunity to represent you very seriously, and I respectfully ask for your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry Hu.
It was great to have a chance to share my vision and the priorities with everyone and meet all of my fellow candidates. And thanks again to the organizers. In closing, I'd like to leave you with 3 things. First, I'm a pragmatic leader and I know how to bring solutions to problems. My top priority is to have a smart and sustainable growth. We cannot grow as we have been in the past 10 years. My experiences in green building and environmental sustainability and my proven leadership in problem solving will help to bring solutions to this challenge. Meanwhile, community health and safety, thriving business community, and support for Dublin School District are among my other top priorities. And I want to hear from you, your concerns, and your suggestions. I will always be accessible to you. Second, I will bring culture and diversification to the council. Our city has a very diverse population with approximately 50% Asian, and among them, about half are Eastern Asian. With our decision-making council represents our population composition, we will make the best decisions for our community. If elected, I will bring in culture and perspective to help shape our community to be inclusive and diversified. We will make Dublin a thriving city that embraces many different cultures. I want to encourage you to stretch your visions and think in broader perspective. I trust that you will make right decisions for you, for your families, and for Dublin. Last but not least, I will become a bridge to unite people. Due to my broad experiences and my personalities, by nature, I'm a good listener and I understand people's different perspectives and thoughts. Whether you live in the West or East, you are Democratic or Republican, whether you were born in the US or you are immigrant, we have a one Dublin, the only one city we all love. We will work together, collaborate, and support each other. And together, we will make Dublin a safe, smart, sustainable city. So remember, Sherry stands for Safe, Smart, and Sustainable Dublin. And thanks to everybody.
Thank you. Rozzy Hosni. One more time, the sound.
Apologies. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys. What a great opportunity. What a great night. What a great exercise in democracy and sharing our views openly and candidly with each other. To exchange these ideas, to learn, to listen, and to debate how we will all serve our community and our constituents. It's you know, you want somebody in City Hall that's going to represent you, that's going to listen to you, that's going to give it to you with a no-nonsense approach. You want to hear the truth, and you want somebody that you feel like you can support. If you're a business owner, you want City Hall to get out of the way, frankly, to make it easier for you to do business. If you are, if you're a resident of Dublin, you want City Hall to listen to you. You want your council to listen to you and listen to your qualms and make sure that you apply and that you make changes based on whatever your constituents do. So that's what I've done over the course of my career, over the course of building my businesses, is listen. I've been an effective listener. I've been a bridge builder all my life. And I can come into any kind of environment and listen to everybody and come to consensus, bring our hall to consensus so that we can move to a better place. I'm optimistic about our future. I think Dublin's going to be a great city to live in 10 years. I don't think that there is a new normal. I think that this is a city where we are going to go back to, and we're going to have greatness again in the city. And that's what I want to see. That's what I want to shepherd. My experience as a realtor, I took part in a lot of communities. I was involved in a lot of community efforts to basically educate our community on how to afford housing here, how to make sure that we support our services and make sure people understand how to buy homes here. Affordable housing is going to be huge in our community. We need to be able to support affordable housing. As a fitness and wellness entrepreneur, I've used our Joya Studios as a platform to not only support our community, but advocate for positive change in our schools, support acceptance of one another, and increase awareness of open-hearted discussion on many social issues that are affecting our society. And our studios became a hub for the community to gather and share their views, debate ideas, all while healing their minds and bodies. For all the negative impacts that this pandemic has had, our community rallied to support our businesses. And that's what I want to continue. That's what I want to emphasize, is support our businesses, making sure that our small businesses succeed, our landlords are protectors, and our renters are also protected as well. Our work is just beginning. As your next city council member, I will work tirelessly to strengthen our small businesses by providing additional support and fostering an environment where different business sectors can support each other with complementary offerings. I will be creative and resourceful in attracting new business. I will make sure that we have, with my diverse culture and background, I'll make sure that we have community outreach programs for our law enforcement and support our law enforcement efforts to keep our communities safe. I will also promote and support community forums to engage and develop consensus on future development within our city. I will encourage a community-first approach where members can give input, voice opinions, and get accurate information. I know it's easier said than done, man, but post-COVID-19, we've got Zoom. It's easy to get communication across. Let's get this done. Let's open the line of communications. Vote for me. I'll be first on the ballot. My name is Razi.
Thank you. Lucrecia De Leon.
Okay. Then I just want to say thank you very much for the sponsors of this event, for giving us the opportunity to present ourselves to our constituents. And I would like to just close in saying that I am running because I believe that public office is a place where we can make people's life better and a difference in our community. I am not a politician, nor I have been grooming myself for public office as many of my other candidates here, but I do care deeply for my community and the issues that we are facing strongly. And we have many issues. Number one is the affordable housing. Number two, the lack of coordination between our city and our school district. Number three, systemic inequality also is another problem. And I recognize that economic prosperity is only possible if everyone and every member of our community is given equal access and equal opportunity to succeed. If we are able to have everyone be able to get the opportunity like everyone else without discrimination and without limitation, I believe that we will have a city that will thrive. I am committed to be your voice. I am running to advocate for you, the people. Once elected, with your support and your vote, once elected, I will advocate for your voice and for your interests on development programs, on housing, and on programs that could help the community thrive. My honesty, my compassion, my confidence, my business skill makes me equipped to serve you and to lead this city. So I believe that I will be the best choice for you for office. I believe in our city, I believe in our community, and I am committed to ensuring that our city of Dublin thrive. Thank you very much. Please engage, support, and vote Lucrecia De Leon. I will also have my Facebook. If you need to know more about me and you would like to join me, please go to my Facebook or on my website, votedeleon2020.org. Thank you again. And I'm here. I am for you, the people. I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And to wrap up, Shawn Costello.
Yes, thank you. I had a little glitch with my computer. I'm sorry about that, everybody. I am here, and I'm here to tell you that, yes, I have, in the last 36 years that I've been here in Dublin, I have been in so many committees, so many things that I've been doing. The first thing I did was the housing thing in 2002 to 2006. In the 1990s, I was on the Wheels Advisory Committee, and I'm still there. I am on the PAGCO board in Oakland, and I'm a Dublin representative of that. We passed out, if you all remember, the Measure B and the BB that we all voted for. I helped pass out that money to all of the paratransits. I like to make sure that everybody's taken care of, not only in Dublin, but in our whole county. We are all taken care of. And I am on the Human Services Commission. All last year, I was the vice chair, and I chaired the entire year. So I know what it is like to be a city council member and a mayor, if I was elected mayor. I can do everything that you ask me to do. One of the words that you will hear when I am elected is handy capable. Capable to handle any situation that we come up against. Each and every one of us has a disability in one way or another, but we're still capable to handle our situation, and we're able to handle other people's problems too. And so we're here for everybody, whether they're walking, crawling, scooting around in a wheelchair, whatever it is, we're here for everybody. Even the homeless needs help once in a while. Thank you very much.
And on behalf of the Weekly, I'd like to thank all of the candidates for participating and the Dublin Chamber of Commerce for making this forum possible. We also appreciate the help of the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club and Sue Stevenson from the Dublin San Ramon Services District. I'm going to turn it over to Inga now and wish you a good night.
Thank you, Gina and Jeremy, for moderating our candidates forum this evening. And thank you to our candidates for the Dublin City Council. We appreciate your time and insight into the issues facing Dublin today and to the future and into the future. And we wish you good luck on the campaign trail. Of course, special thank you to Sue Stevenson with DSRSD, my face behind the timer. You rock. On behalf of the Dublin Women's Club and Dublin Chamber of Commerce, hope you have more insight into your two choices for City Council. And our forums were presented for Dublin elected office. This election cycle will be available in a few days on both the Pleasanton Weekly and the Dublin Chamber of Commerce YouTube channels, we hope. Lastly, the Dublin Chamber of Commerce will be hosting Mayor Halbert. Let me share my screen. As he delivers his final State of the City address on September 24th at 10 a.m. Registration is required for this virtual event. Go to dublinchamberofcommerce.org or contact me for reservations or sponsorships. Think Chamber first when you shop. Support Dublin businesses, shop local. Thank you for joining us this evening, and good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.